जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय। जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी श्री श्री राधा गिरधारी की जय। जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। गौर निताई की जय। शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखावितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवशादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांता स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगुम लंगायते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वंदे श्रीगुरुदीनतारणम्। So I'm very grateful and happy to be here with all of you, and my gratitude to all the devotees, Balram Prabhu, Guru Krishna Prabhu, and all the senior, everyone, to all of you for giving me the opportunity to serve all of you. So very grateful to all of you. So we'll discuss about a little bit about Bhagavad Gita today. So when our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, he went to London. So one of the reporters asked him, Swamiji, why are you here? Why have you come here? So sometimes reporters, may ask in a very challenging mood. So Srila Prabhupada replied that, you have looted for so many years all the diamonds, Kohinoor and so many gems, but you forgot one thing to take. That is the most precious thing, and that is the Bhagavad Gita. So I have come to deliver this to you free of cost. So because Bhagavad Gita is the most precious jewel that a Vedic wisdom that India has to present to anyone, to the world. So similarly, Bhagavad Gita, when we talk about Bhagavad Gita, it has 700 texts, 700 verses, which talk about mainly 5 different subjects. And those subjects are us, like the living entities, the jiva or the soul, and then who is the Supreme Lord, the Ishvara. And then it talks about this material nature, what this material nature is, the Prakriti. And when we engage in different activities without the awareness that what our goal of life is, then it creates karma or the actions and reactions. That is another subject matter, which is our action, karma. And the 5th is time. So we are bound under the influence of time, and we perform certain activities. It also tells about how our mind works, which is the most important topic for today. We have been going through so difficult times through the pandemic, where people have faced so many challenges, difficulties, and it talks about how to handle those difficult situations. So it starts with a situation of a war where Arjuna, he is in a very difficult situation, just like us. We are always day to day, we are very confused what to do in this situation, what is right, what is wrong, whether we should do this or that. Similarly, Arjuna, he was a great warrior, a Kshatriya warrior. He was also in a difficult situation. And he basically had a fight with his relatives. There was a kingdom where the kingdom should have been divided equally, but somehow the relatives, they did not want to do that. They wanted to usurp his whole kingdom. He was very kind-hearted, very compassionate. He said, okay, I don't want anything, you take everything. But they were not even willing to give even 5 villages. It was a huge kingdom. He tried for peace. He sent his friend Sri Krishna to his cousins Duryodhan and asked them if they can just avoid the war, but he was not ready. They were not ready. So in this situation, Arjuna was very much confused what he should do. He didn't want to fight. At the same time, he didn't know what to do, because his duty was a warrior. He was administrator. He had to do something. He had to rule. So he went to his friend Krishna and said, Krishna, I can't do anything now, so you please help me. So he speaks, Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prichhami tum dharma sammuru cheta yat shreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me shishyaste ham shadimam tvam prapannam. My dear Lord, I am confused and bewildered. I do not know what to do. So now I am your disciple. Please instruct me. Please guide me. So similarly, we also face so many situations. We go through success, failure, honor, dishonor, pleasure, pain, so many difficult situations. And if we also take the instructions of Bhagavad Gita in the spirit of Arjuna, so Arjuna really wanted the instruction. He was hungry. He was hungry to understand how to handle this situation. So until the hunger is there, we can't really digest the food. In Ayurveda, it is said that until you are hungry, you cannot really, digest, because those gastric juices and whatnot, when they are you're really hungry, you should eat. So that hunger is very important. So yes, then Arjuna, took instructions from Sri Krishna, and then he got the solution how to handle that warlike situation. So, but to hear is one thing, not just to know, when we read something or hear something, it's not about just knowing, but how it can deeply impact us, how it can transform us. That's more important. We can read so many literature, we can read so many texts, we can do so many austerities, but has it transformed our own life? That is the most important thing. So that's what you call like theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge, Gyan and Vigyan. So Krishna says Gyan and Vigyan in the Bhagavad Gita. So Gyan is like theoretical knowledge and Vigyan is like realized knowledge. So just like, for example, you have a GPS, right? So if you have to go from here to say La Jolla, you put the address of La Jolla, okay, I want to go there. And then you start driving there. So there are three things that are involved here. One is the driver, and one is the process that you are driving, and third is the destination. So similarly in this case, if you see that there are three parts which are described. One is the sadhaka. So we are trying to understand the spiritual knowledge, understand the who God is, why we are here, what our purpose in this life is. So we are basically the driver or the sadhaka. And then there is a process, we have to drive. And then ultimately the destination where we have to reach is our goal, which is called the sadhya. So our goal is to achieve love for Sri Krishna, to achieve the perfection of life, and get rid of these miseries of this material world, to achieve the ultimate perfection of life. So those are the three things. So while we are driving, while we are on this spiritual path, we want to progress, we want to understand the purpose of life. Why am I here? What should I do in my life? So while we are on this path, there may be so many distractions. Like when you are driving, there may be so many distractions. Sometimes phone is ringing, or somebody is saying something, or you're spaced out, whatever. So there may be so many distractions in that process, and that happens in whatever you do. Whenever we are, whether it's a spiritual path or a professional path, whatever we are taking, there will always be distractions. But if you really need it, if you're really hungry, then even if there are distractions, we'll still try to achieve that. So that hunger has to be there. And how can we get that hunger? The process to get that appetite is to come in the association of devotees, get inspiration from each other. Srila Prabhupada has offered us so beautiful temples, the association of devotees, nice kirtan. Prabhuji was doing such a wonderful kirtan. We can dance in the kirtan, we can chant the names of the Lord, and we can take prasadam. That is a very simple process. It's like A, B, C, D. A for association, B for book reading, C for chanting, and D for diet. A, B, C, D. Just very simple. So you just follow the four things. It's really very, very easy. So, and then on this path, while we are distracted, then we have to decide what is favorable for us and what is unfavorable for us. Just like you are watching television. So how many channels do you have in your television? 1,000. 1,000? Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I meant 2,000.
Okay. 2,000. So all the signals are there for the 2,000 channels. Whether you want to watch an opera from New York City, or want to watch a baseball match from St. Louis, or, whatever it is. So it's your choice. All the signals are there in your room. So it depends on you what channel you click and what frequency do you tune into. Right? So it's our choice. So God has given us choice, whatever we want to do. It's our choice. So it's up to us how we decide where to tune into. So at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was completely transformed. So Krishna says that Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishami Ma Sucha. He said, whatever I have told, there are different varieties of religions, just give it up and just surrender unto me. Take shelter of me, take shelter of my instructions. And do not fear, you will come to me. You will achieve the purpose of life, you will reach your destination. And then the ultimate GPS is this text which says, Man mana bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mameva shyasi satyam te pratijani priyosi me. Man mana, always think of me. Mad bhakto, become my devotee. Madhyaji, worship me. Mam namaskuru, pay obeisances to me. And if you do that, what will happen? You will certainly reach me. Satyam te pratijani priyosi me. You will certainly lead me. So that is the ultimate GPS that is there. So when we discuss about Bhagavad Gita and then after Bhagavad Gita ends, then Srimad Bhagavatam begins. So yesterday was a very beautiful festival of Narshing Chaturdashi. Dravida Prabhu very beautifully narrated the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj and Narsinghadev. And so I just wanted to touch upon some of few other things which I really liked from that pastime. So if you see in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Purana, there are 18 Puranas. So one of the Puranas is Srimad Bhagavatam, Amal Puran. So Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a pastime of Prahlad Maharaj and Narsinghadev. So in this, what happens is there is a demon called Hiranyakashipu, and he's like a envious, jealous, and the biggest tyrant that you have ever seen. He will do all things which are prohibited. So he was doing a huge austerity to get some powers, but during that time his wife Kayadu got kidnapped by the demigods, by the other party, opponent party. Why? Because his seed was taking birth in the womb of his wife. His name was Prahlad. So the demigods wanted to kill the wife and the womb so that, another demon doesn't take birth. And while they were going to, kill, that time a great saint Narad Muni, he came and he said, please don't kill her. I will take her to my ashram and she will stay there. You don't worry. And then once he took her to his ashram, he started imparting spiritual knowledge to her. And the baby within the womb was also listening. Prahlad Maharaj, he was also listening. So there are a lot of scientific, studies and research that shows that the baby in the womb hears. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is very scientific. There is also explanation how the baby in the womb develops, like month to month. That first month, like how the bones are developed, the chyle is developed, blood is developed, hands, head, everything. So everything is there. Even like ultrasound was just discovered like 60, 70 years back. But the Srimad Bhagavatam Purana is 5,000 years old, these texts. So astronomy, astrology, everything is there. It's very scientific. And also I was studying in the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. I was doing my internship there. It is like the MIT of US, and there was a student who did some research on how the baby listens in the womb. And he was telling that how they sent a certain frequency and how they get a response from the baby within the womb. He did a complete study and he showed graphs and everything. He collaborated with the medical students and everyone, and he was showing this study. And there are paper, research, thesis, and everything is proven. It happens. So baby basically listens in the womb. So yesterday Dravida Prabhu was telling that so those who are going to be mothers, they should listen nice things so that the baby hears and gets a good vibrations. So yeah. So Prahlad Maharaj just heard about Lord Krishna, his pastimes in the womb, and he got attracted to Krishna. So our scriptures tell that Krishna and his name are non-different. These are transcendental sound vibration. If you see that Maha Mantra on the top, it's not a material sound vibration. It's a spiritual sound vibration. So the scripture says that Nam Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purno Shuddho Nitya Mukto Abhinatva Nam Namino. The name and the named are non-different. So these sound vibrations are transcendental, and they can have an impact. I mean, just saying that on the mind would be, not the right thing. Yes, it does have impact on the mind. It basically, mantra means man iti trayate iti mantra. So it basically protects the mind. There are so many problems of the mind these days. It will protect the mind. And then at the same time, it gives spiritual enlightenment also. In advanced stages, it can reveal our true identity and you can enter into the pastimes of the Lord. So in advanced stages. So yeah, so that is the power of the names of the Lord. So the baby Prahlad Maharaj, he was able to hear what his guru or teacher Narad Muni was speaking. And he got attracted to it. And when he grew up, like he was 5 years old, he still remembered everything. So even though his father, he didn't wanted him to worship Krishna, he wanted him to basically worship himself. So he was offering everything. His father was offering him like control over other things. His father offered him a name, fame, whatever he wants, everything. But he already got the higher taste. Prahlad Maharaj was already engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. He already got the higher taste. Param drishtava nivartate. He was also experiencing that bliss of spiritual life that is there. So, and ultimately then Prahlad Maharaj was made the king and he served everybody with servant leadership. This is a very quote-unquote servant leadership is a very famous terminology in the professional world where you don't try to control others, but you try to help them as a servant. So he served in that same way. And he saw everything as like the property of the Lord and treated everybody as equally and with respect, not to exploit others. So that was the intention. And so just like, when we take food, it satisfies the whole body. The food goes into the stomach. But if the finger thinks, oh, I just want to eat, ice cream or whatever, let me eat the ice cream. It will be frustrated. The finger cannot eat any ice cream. But when it goes through the mouth to the stomach, then it reaches every part of the body. And everyone is satisfied. Even the finger is satisfied. So similarly, in the Srimad Bhagavatam is said, when you water the root of the tree, the water reaches all the branches and leaves and twigs everywhere and everybody is satisfied. So that is there. And that stage is basically explained as Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Na Shochati Na Kangshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhakti Labate Param. So in that state, a person is so happy that he doesn't laments for what is lost, or he doesn't basically hankers for any other desires that he has. He doesn't hankers or laments for any of these things. He's self-satisfied, Atma Rama. He's very happy. So, and in that state, a person is very determined to continue, without getting distracted on his path, and to share this knowledge with others. So, nowadays we see a lot of, conflict between races and communities. But the Bhagavad Gita tells that a learned person basically sees everybody equally. And why does he see equally? Because he sees, because he is able to see the spiritual spark. He is able to see that consciousness, the divine consciousness which is within each and every one of us, the Paramatma. So there is a shloka which says, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastani Suni Chaiva Swapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. A learned man, what does he see? He sees a learned Brahmana, elephant, a dog eater, even a dog eater, equally, with equal vision. He doesn't discriminate that, oh, this person is an outcast. No, he doesn't discriminate. Because he loves everybody. Because he sees that spiritual spark in each and every one of us. So that is the vision that Prahlad Maharaj, the leader, had, and he also he's also exemplifying that how the leader should be. So he's also called a Mahajan or a leader. There are so many Mahajans, like a Bollywood Mahajan, scientist Mahajans. So there are different kinds of Mahajans. And here is Prahlad Maharaj, who is one of the Mahajans. He's exemplifying how one should behave, how one should peacefully, while taking care of his duties, try to achieve the perfection of life. So, and then if you extend this, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says that Naham Vipro Nacha Narapati Na Api Vaishyo Na Shudro. That I am not a Brahmin, or I'm not a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. And if you extend it, then you can extend it to, oh, I am not a doctor or a lawyer or a software engineer or a, whatever, pharmacist. Because these are different designations. And sometimes we are, so caught up in these designations that we start identifying ourselves with these designations. I know some people who work in jobs, and, if they are so much attached to it, and they get fired or whatever, they lose their jobs, they think everything is lost because they think that that's my identity. We are not prisoners of our, job or whatever these designations. We are something beyond that. So that is what spiritual knowledge teaches us. It teaches us to rise beyond all these designations and understand who we are, how we can control the mind and get out of all these entanglements. So then he answers that, who are we? And he says, Gopi Bharteor Pad Kamaleor Das 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 Anudas. So we are the caretakers of Krishna's children. We are the servant of the Lord of the Gopis. And so that is our actual position. And what will happen if we achieve that position? We will be happy. So everybody here is looking for happiness, right? Anyone not looking for happiness? Please raise your hand. Everyone is looking for happiness. So the purpose of all the Vedic scriptures is Sarve Sukhenu Bhavantu. Let everybody be happy. This is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, all the Vedic scriptures, all the religion, everything is meant for our happiness. Let everybody be happy. And we are actually looking for some kind of happiness for, comfort for the body, or sometimes for the mind or the senses. But that may be, temporary, and we may get frustrated after achieving that kind of happiness. But the real happiness is of the heart, to be loved and to love. And then also of the soul, to connect the soul to the super soul. So that is the highest level of happiness that we can strive for. And there may be so many disturbances in our pursuit to achieve that happiness. So when we take initiation, when we accept a teacher guru, then we chant this mantra, Om Apavitro Pavitro Va Sarvavastha Gato Piva Yas Maret Pundarikaksha Sa Bahayat Abhyantara Suchi. So whether we are pure or impure, or whatever situation we are going through, if we just remember the lotus-eyed Lord, then we are purified from within and without. So that is in every situation. So just like if you see a surfer, so I'm quite foreign to surfing, but I know Guru Krishna Prabhu has a very good experience in surfing. Anyone else is a surfer here? Surfing? No. So when you see the surfers, they are surfing on these waves, and they are looking for a wave where they can surf, right? And when they are on the wave, they adjust themselves so that they don't just to go under the water or miss the wave. So they have to adjust themselves. So, and then we understand that there will be challenges in our life, whether that is because of our body and the mind, or because of others, or because of some natural, calamities like too much heat, too much cold, or earthquakes and things like that. And we have to adjust in those situations. So Krishna says how to handle these situations, because there would be challenges like these. So how to handle that? So Krishna says that Matra sparshas tu kaunteya sitoshna sukudkuda agam apaino nityas tam stitikchasva bharata. So the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress is just like summer and winter seasons. And then we must tolerate that. So basically, if you see that happiness, will come to us, distress will come, we will be honored sometime, we will be dishonored, pleasure, pain, pandemics, non-pandemics, so many situations will come. So how do we handle those situations? Because these are unavoidable. Can you change summer or winter seasons? You cannot change. We have no control over them. We just have to tolerate it and continue in our journey, continue with the destination that we have put in the GPS. So one time, a professor from a university, he read the whole Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata and everything, and he asked our Param Guru, Srila Prabhupada, that Arjuna heard the whole Bhagavad Gita, and still he was disturbed after his son died. So his son, Arjuna's son, was Abhimanyu, and he was killed in an unfair way. Lot of generals surrounded him, and they didn't follow the the code of ethics of war, and they killed him in an unfair way. So yes, then Arjuna heard the entire Bhagavad Gita. Then why was he upset? So why was he crying after his son died? He should have been, peaceful and calm. Then what is the use of hearing the Bhagavad Gita? So Srila Prabhupada answered that it is normal if somebody's son dies, even if he's a learned man, he knows the knowledge. It is normal, natural for a person to cry or to be upset. But the most important thing is that even after that, he continued with his duty. He didn't give it up. So he continued the war after a few days, and he was just peaceful after that. So and it is natural. So that's what it means to basically tolerate those situations. And we see there are so many fires in California. Nobody can basically avoid it, and there are so many helicopters that are basically pouring water and trying to extinguish the fire. So we can't do anything in those things. I remember one time I went near Rishikesh in India, and then there was an earthquake, and a lot of houses, they were like destroyed, and most of those were on the hills, and like hundreds of people died and thousands of houses were destroyed. So these are, and I was saved, that's why I'm here. But these earthquakes of our own problems from our own body and mind, how others treat us, so all those earthquakes will come in our life, but we just have to tolerate and continue with that. So how much time? Yeah, okay. And then if you see that in Krishna's Leela, there are, so all these things we have to tolerate and continue in our service and serve Krishna. So there are different ways how we can serve Krishna. So there are 5 different relationships in which we can serve Krishna. Like, Krishna's friends are there, like Sridama. Krishna is playing with the friends, and Krishna is getting defeated by them. And when Krishna gets defeated, then they carry Krishna on their shoulders, and they run and show all the people that, oh, I have defeated Krishna. So Sridama is happy and Krishna is happy. So both of them are happy, and they are enjoying this friendship. So there are different ways how we can serve Krishna, and one of the most important methods that is acceptable in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy is chanting the holy names of Krishna. So if we see this Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So chanting this Mahamantra, we can basically purify ourselves. Cheto Darpanam Marjanam. It purifies our mind, our intelligence, and also the soul. It purifies everything. And when we are purified, we can see things as they are. And the true spirit of chanting this Mahamantra is that, oh my Lord, I do not want anything from you. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. I am just looking for your mercy, and I just want to serve you without any ulterior motivation. I do not want anything. I just want to serve you continuously. So that is the mood in which we chant this mantra and achieve our ultimate perfection and reach our destination. So I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji, you want to say something?
So, Prahlad Maharaj is chanting, seems to be chanting a different mantra that we're not chanting. Right? Something Narayanayana.
Om Namo Narayana.
Yeah. So why do we chant Hare Krishna?
Yeah, so that was a different yuga, like it was Sati Yuga, and this is Kali Yuga. So in the Kali Santarana, so for every age there are different mantras. There are different, like Dhruv Maharaj would chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sorry?
Put the microphone.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so for this age, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is recommended, which is the Mahamantra. Mahamantra means it is the mantra of all the mantras. It is a great mantra, big mantra, whatever you call it, for translate Maha for. And it is said in the scriptures that Harir Nam eva kevalam, kalo nasti eva gatirannatha. And this mantra is specifically given in the Kali Santarana Upanishad. So when Narad Muni asked his father Brahmaji that, my dear father, Kali Yuga is coming, this age is coming, when people have, the age is reducing, people are unlucky, they are so short-lived and their memory is not good. So how will people actually attain the perfection of life? Because in the previous times, people used to have very sharp memory, they can just remember everything by hearing once. Now we need all these textbooks and whatnot and so many different things. So how would people actually achieve perfection, spiritual enlightenment in this age? So then Brahmaji explained that iti shodachakam namnam kali kalmashnashanam nata parataropaya sarva vedeshu drishyate. It means iti shodachakam means these 16 word mantra. Iti shodachakam namnam kali. So this is a 16 word mantra, and it will destroy all the sins, all the miseries of the Kali Yuga. Kali kalmash nashnam, nata parataropaya, and there is no other way. Sarva vedeshu drishyate. And I have seen all the scriptures. Brahmaji is actually the creator of all these scriptures, Vedas. Is like we are in the Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya, right? It's coming from Brahmaji, Narad Muni, and all our Guru Parampara. So and then he said, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So he speaks this and he narrates this verse. So it is from the scriptures that for this age and time, this is the mantra. I'm sure you knew it, but thank you for asking.
I don't remember that
I see.
meeting that you just described. That was something I forgot about. So that was nice that you reminded me.
Yeah.
Because, different people ask questions, like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna never tells Arjuna, you need to chant Hare Krishna. That was Dwapara Yuga, and they were on the battlefield. And so the message was according to time and place. And therefore, Krishna's mission was not to get Arjuna to chant Hare Krishna. It was to get him to fight the battle.
Yeah, but in the Bhagavad Gita, if we see that there are various places where Krishna speaks that what is that yagya japosmi, where he says among sacrifice I am the chanting of the japa, right? That is one. And then manmana bhavmad manmana. How do we remember always Krishna? Then we chant, right? Mantra means maniti trayateti mantra. So we are always remembering Krishna by chanting, right? So that is remembering him through our mind. Manmana bhavmad bhakto. With love and devotion.
Satatam kirtayanto mam.
Satatam kirtayanto. Kirtan, so that is japa, kirtan that you are doing. So it's chanting only.
So it's interesting to see how in different yugas, there are different processes, and Prahlad obtained perfection during doing the process in his age, and we can obtain the same perfection in this age. But we have to take the medicine for this age.
Yes. And also there are 4 different sampradayas like, Sri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Brahma Madhav Gaudiya Sampradaya and 4 Kumar Sampradaya. So every sampradaya has different mantras and all of them have the different teachers like Sri Sampradaya, Lakshmi ji is the teacher, Rudra Sampradaya, Lord Shiva, like that. And every sampradaya has different mantras, but all mantras are related to Krishna. So, and if somebody is connected to a valid sampradaya and they are chanting that mantra, then it's fine. So, yeah. Thank you for asking. Anyone else who has thoughts or comments?
Well, you speak so nicely. Thank you for a wonderful discussion. So, I was trying to. It's more of a prompt for you, if whatever interests you about this kind of idea. And it's maybe more for people who aren't so familiar with Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. You began by explaining the 5 topics covered in Bhagavad Gita very nicely. And I know Bhagavad Gita is really building up to the 12th chapter where we learn about Bhakti Yoga. It's a very important part of it. And he's established so many things before then he begins to speak about devotional service. And I've heard that the Gita kind of flows in 6 parts, like 18 chapters, like the first 6 have a name, the middle 6 have a name. In Bhagavatam, we know the 10th canto, Krishna is revealing himself, and we're building up to that powerful part. I've heard an analogy that, like on a ruler, the Bhagavad Gita is the inch marks, and the Bhagavatam is all the centimeters, building the inch.
Yeah.
So whatever interests you, how do you relate Bhagavad Gita with Srimad Bhagavatam, or how do you look at those important chapters of it? Or how do these texts flow, that they're not just books? Like, how are these related, and what are they accomplishing with these powerful parts of them that are...
Yeah. Okay. Very nice. Thank you for asking that question. So when this war ended between, Pandavas and Dhritarashtra's, then there is a person called Ashwathama. What he did is, he tried to kill the last heir or the last, heir, right? The last remaining person on the opposite side. So that was the son of Abhimanyu, and he was in the womb of Uttara. His name was Parikshit Maharaj. So Duryodhan, he didn't want to leave anybody on the opposite side, on the Pandava side. He wanted to kill everybody. So he shot a Brahmastra, which is in today's day and age, you can equate it with a nuclear weapon. And it was so precise that it would hit the womb, and whoever is in the womb will die. So ultimately what happened, Lord Krishna, since he is the friend of Arjuna and the Pandavas, he protects, Parikshit Maharaj in the womb, and he takes birth. So Parikshit Maharaj, so after the war is over, Parikshit Maharaj, obviously Yudhishthira and everybody becomes the king, and after that Parikshit Maharaj takes on the reins. So Parikshit Maharaj is now the king of the world. So, and one day what happens is that he goes out for hunting and he sees a great mystic yogi saint, and somehow it puts like a dead snake around his neck. So historically he wasn't, he never did that kind of activity. All his criminal records were like clear, nothing he did, but somehow by the arrangement of the Lord, he put a dead snake in Shringi's neck, dead snake. And Shringi's son, who was also Brahmana, he was really mystical and very powerful. He was taking a bath somewhere far away, and he came to know somebody insulted my father in that way. And he cursed him that whoever did this, he will die in 7 days. by a snake, Takshak. And so he basically, and you see all these mystic powers, these are like, a lot of people even today have that, like my mother's grandfather, my mother was telling that he was able to, chant some mantras and cure people. Like if somebody is having fever or sick, he would chant mantras and cure them. So, and there are so many different yogis if you go to Himalayas, and they are really mystic and very powerful just by the chanting of these mantras. So he cursed him, and then Parikshit Maharaj is now about to die in 7 days, right? And he didn't think that, I am the king, I can kill that saint and just, get back the curse. He said, no, it's Lord arrangement, I'll just accept it. And then he's looking for the perfection of life. Okay, I have 7 days, what should I do? And then for these 7 days, he's looking for someone to speak the highest truth, which is in Srimad Bhagavatam, and he finds who? Sukadeva Goswami, yeah. So, and that's how it translates, on the banks of the Ganga. So if you have heard of Rishikesh, right? When you go from Delhi to Rishikesh, there is a place called Sukhatal. There's an exit, and there's a very, very huge banyan tree there. And near the banyan tree, there's beautiful Ganga river flowing with full force. And that is the place where, they actually spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami, he basically narrates all the pastimes of Krishna. And there are different subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna, and Bhagavatam is about Krishna with different subject matters. Sarga, Visarga, like creation, destruction, activities of the Lord, different incarnations of the Lord. So the first canto is like the lotus feet of the Lord, and it goes till the 10th canto, which is the face of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada writes, we should not jump to the 10th canto. We should always start from the first canto. So, yeah. Does it make sense, Prabhu? Yeah. And it's very scientific. If you, I'm sure we have Srimad Bhagavatam here in our gift store. It is very, very scientific. Lot of things that you see that science is discovering, lot of people that have made patents and researches, that is already there in Srimad Bhagavatam. One of the things I told about the baby in the womb, how it is developed, the time, the smallest unit of time, how it is measured. Like, does anyone know what is the smallest unit of time? How it is measured? Huh? Yeah, it's like the vibration of the atom, right? Vibration of the atom. So that is described. Like some people know about second. Okay, 1 second, nimesh is 1/14th of the second. By the time you flip your eyelids, that's called 1 nimesh. But then there is more divisions of time, which are very short, and that is actually the vibration of the atom, the time which it takes to vibrate an atom. That is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. The entire universe, planetary system, how it works, that is described. So it is very, very scientific. How the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse happen, and so many different things. The distance of the moon to the sun to the earth, the correlations. It's very technical. There are a lot of devotees in India from IIS, Indian Institute of Sciences, who do research on this space and everything. They have done a very deep research and found out, that all these scriptures are correct, whatever is written. It's very scientific, as well as it can give us, the ultimate perfection of life, which is love for Krishna. So, yes, Prabhu.
So, since we're talking about the relationship between the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, we can read this pastime of Prahlad and his father and gain a lot of insight and wisdom. But should we read? I mean, if we're serious about studying these books, should we start like with Bhagavad Gita and then go to Srimad Bhagavatam? Is it like, first we have to go to high school, then we go to college, then we go to PhD? Is it like that?
I mean, I think it's individual choice. It's good if we start with Bhagavad Gita. If somebody has so much appetite and so much, hunger to read it, and why not? I mean, why not read both together? Or start with Bhagavatam, because Srila Prabhupada in the purports of Bhagavatam also, lot of concepts are coming from Bhagavad Gita. The references are there. So it's individual choice, you know. So anybody can do whatever they want. What do you think, Prabhupada? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Me?
Yeah. Yes, you.
Well, you know, just like in all of Prabhupada's books, he'll make statements like, and if you want to know more about this subject, you can go to this book, right? Because in that book it goes into more detail.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam is more about the activities of Krishna and his devotees. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna specifically talking about himself, his creation,
Correct. Yeah.
how we can utilize this world, how we can utilize our human form of life, how we can transcend this material world, how we can go back home, back to Godhead, live eternally there in bliss and knowledge. So, you know, if we want to know about God, we can just read Bhagavad Gita and hear directly from God.
Correct. Yeah.
There's so many ideas out there how to please God. They range, you know, from childish ideas, like just be happy because God wants you to be happy. So if you're just happy, God will be happy. You know?
Yeah.
But your happiness may impact others. Right? For me, eating a nice steak makes me happy. But the cow has to be killed. So...
Right.
So we get the opportunity to hear directly from Krishna about him. So that's the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. And then once we learn a little bit about Krishna from reading Bhagavad Gita, then we can learn about what Krishna's devotees did over the past thousands and millions of years, and how they got together and they discussed philosophy, and then that works up into, you know, the 10th canto, and we hear all about Krishna's pastimes. You know, but at the same time, if you look at our history, if you look at Srila Prabhupada's book, Translation History, there was Bhagavad Gita, but then there was Krishna book. Well, that's the 10th canto. Why? And he wanted those books distributed widely before anything else. And many devotees read Krishna book and just thought, oh, I just want to be a devotee of Krishna. I hadn't even read Bhagavad Gita yet. And then it was a great help that Srila Prabhupada asked George Harrison to write the foreword to the Krishna book, which also was very powerful, very genius by Srila Prabhupada. Anyway, all these things are there.
Yeah.
But we used to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam on the street.
Wow.
All the different cantos, they were being printed, and they were coming out one at a time, and so there wasn't a full set. It was like, okay, this is our full set, it's these cantos. You know, in the beginning, Prabhupada brought the first canto in the 3 different parts, and he began distributing. That was the first book. He didn't bring Bhagavad Gita. So we can also understand that too.
Yeah.
Because, you know why he didn't bring Bhagavad Gita? Because so many people had already ruined it.
Yeah.
But they weren't able to ruin Srimad Bhagavatam.
Good point. Yeah.
So he came over with the Bhagavatam. So that's kind of goes to your point that, you know, whatever your appetite is, you know, if you want to read Bhagavatam, read Bhagavatam.
Okay.
If
Wonderful.
you want to read Bhagavad Gita.
Jai. All right. This wonderful course, wonderful discourse. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gaura Keshava.
Thank you,
Haribol,
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So now we'll have a standing kirtan. So we can put our mats under the